Hi, I'm Christy and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm here with all the spring book releases that I'm looking forward to. Alright, so I did this video last year for fall and winter releases I was looking forward to, and so I wanted to do it kind of seasonally going into the new year as well, and so I decided to kick it off with a spring one. So in today's video, I'm going to chat about all the spring releases, which I'm doing March, April, and May, counting those as the spring months. I'm going to do all the spring releases that I'm looking forward to. This is not every book for every month that I'm looking forward to, but these are like the highlights, like the top 10 to 15-ish per month that I'm looking forward to. On my channel for each month, I do videos for all the new releases each month, so each month you will get to see more of the new releases I'm looking forward to that month. But for this video today, it's just going to be like the highlights, the top ones I'm looking forward to. So as always, I'm going to link every book that I talk about down in the description of the video, so if you miss any of them and you need to go back and see the book title or the author name, you can go grab them there, put them on your TBR, pre-order them, any of those things, put them on your own list for books you're looking forward to. So let's get into it, and we're going to start off with March releases that I'm looking forward to. So by the time this video is going up, you will have already seen my March new releases video that will already be up on my channel. So that one will go into more in depth for all the new releases for the month. But for this video, I'm going to talk about 10, 13, I think maybe, that I have of which ones I'm like highly anticipating for the month. So first up on March 4th, we have Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConney. So this author, I loved her previous books. So she did Migrations and Once There Was Wolves. I loved both of those so much. She just kind of like lit fic, maybe like some speculative fiction. So I'm very excited for this new book from her because like I said, I have enjoyed her previous two. So this one's out on March 4th. It says, a family on a remote island, a mysterious woman washed ashore, a rising storm on the horizon. Dominic Salt and his 3 children are caretakers of Shearwater, a tiny island not far from Antarctica, home to the world's largest seed bank. Shearwater was once full of researchers, but with sea levels rising, the Salts are now its final inhabitants, packing up the seeds before they are transported to safer ground. Despite the wild beauty of life here, isolation has taken its toll on the Salts. So he has the 3 children as well, and so it gets into some info about them. So he has an 18-year-old, a 17-year-old, and then a 9-year-old. Kind of gets into their backstories and where they're at, what they're going through. And then it says that then, during the worst storm the island has ever seen, a woman washes up on the shore. As the Salts nurse the woman back to life, their suspicion gives way to affection, and they finally begin to feel like a family again. So it kind of goes from there, and it says that the characters must decide if they can trust each other enough to protect the precious seeds in their care before it's too late, and if they can finally put the tragedies of the past behind them to create something new together. This author, I just love their writing. They have very like atmospheric vibes, and just like the way they write about nature and kind of the environment and kind of these like moral dilemmas for characters is just so good. So I'm very excited for that one on March 4th. Another one on March 4th is Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Stone. So I love this author's writing. I've read all of her books, all of her like Audible originals, all of her novellas, all the things. I love her books so much. So this one, I actually have an arc of it. It's been sitting on my Kindle for a couple months, but I've been waiting until closer to the release date to get to it. So I'll probably be reading it sooner than later. So it says, grieving the loss of her best friend, a young woman's life is turned upside down when she meets a grumpy stranger who swears he can help her live again in this heartwarming, slow burn romance by the author of Ready or Not. And I don't think I want to know too much else. So I am very excited. I love the way that this author writes emotions, and like sometimes her books kind of straddle the line of women's fiction and contemporary romances, especially like her traditionally published ones, I should say. And so I am excited for it nonetheless because I really enjoy her writing. So yeah, March 4th for Promise Me Sunshine. All right, March 4th is just a very stacked release date. So another one I can't wait for is The Girl from Greenwich Street by Lauren Willig. This one I have an arc of as well, and I need to get to it pretty soon too, because like I said, it's coming out on March 4th. This one, I have read this author before, and I thought her books were okay. So I'm kind of intrigued by this one though, mostly because of the little like blurb on the cover. So it says a novel of Hamilton Burr and America's first murder trial. So I'm very excited. So this is a historical fiction. It says based on the true story of a famous trial. This novel is law and 1800s as Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr investigate the shocking murder of a young woman who everyone and no one seemed to know. So it's the start of a new century. Of course, Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr are bitter rivals and sometimes friends, sometimes rivals. And so it kind of gets into that and they have to work together. So I am very intrigued by this one and cannot wait to get to it on March 4th. Then on March 10th, we have Death Valley by Karina Halley. I really love this author's writing. She writes so many ranges, like she has such a broad range of different tropes, different subgenres of romance that she writes in, which I love. So this one was pushed back from February and it now has a March release. So this one says it is a standalone dark Western horror romance. So it says it's a spicy, scary, modernized version of Red Dead Undead Nightmare. I'm intrigued by all of those things, and so I can't wait to check it out. I really enjoy Karina Halley's writing. So then on March 11th, we have Go Luck Yourself by Sarah Rosh. This is the second book in the Royals and Romance series. So this author had written The Nightmare Before Christmas last fall, winter. I really loved that one, and it kind of took me by surprise how much I enjoyed it, and so this one is high on my TBR as well. I know the first book in the series was kind of a mix of The Nightmare Before Christmas, as well as red, white, and royal blue vibes. So very much like modern contemporary time, but mixed with the seasons, the holidays, as kind of royal politic type situations and different courts. And so I really enjoyed how the first book worked. So the second one is giving all of the Emerald St. Patrick's Day vibes. It says that it is an enemies to lovers in this sexy and delightful holiday mashup that pairs the spare prince of Christmas and the crown prince of St. Patrick's Day. So I am very excited. So this is another romance. The first book was as well, and I can't wait to get to it. On March 13th, we have The Strawberry Patch Pancake House by Lori Gilmore. So this is book 4 in her Dream Harbor series. This is very much a small town, very like cozy vibes, feeling of like a small town setting. I have really enjoyed this series. I think they're a lot of fun, and like they've only gotten better for me since book 1. So I am excited for this one because it's following some characters that we've already seen hinted at or in the small town setting. So in this one, it says that the hero is a renowned chef, single dad who never planned on moving to a small town, let alone running a pancake restaurant. But Dream Harbor needs a new chef, and Archer needs a community to help raise his daughter Olive. And then it says that Iris, the heroine, has never managed to hold down a job for more than a few months. So when the mayor suggests Archer is looking for a nanny, ooh, it's a single dad nanny romance, and that Iris might be available, she shudders at the thought, but in need of money, she reluctantly agrees. So I am very excited about it. It says single dad, forced proximity, slow burn, found family, one bed. And I love the cover, love the pop of the pink on here as well. So can't wait for that one on March 13th. Then on March 14th, we have If You Give a CEO a Chance by Anne Einerson. This is book 3 in her Aspen Grove series. I really enjoy this whole series. I love this author's writing. So I'm very excited for this one. She always delivers like on exactly what you think you're going to get from the title, from the trope. And so I really do appreciate that. Ooh, okay, so this is like a workplace romance. So it says that the heroine needs to stop playing pranks on her boss. Did I mention he's also my new roommate? Being the private chef for the retired hockey player who haunts my fantasies is a bad idea. Living down the hall from him is an even worse idea, especially considering the one night stand we had 10 years ago. Ooh, this sounds like a lot of fun. So he's a CEO, another chef. So this one we have the heroine being a chef, a private chef. I love that. I'm very excited. The tropes say enemies to lovers, a second chance because they had that hookup in the past, forced proximity, roommates, retired hockey player, billionaire romance. Like, it just gives me all of those good things. Can't wait. This one is out on March 14th. Also on March 14th, we have Buried Dreams by Natasha Madison. So this is the third book in her Dream series. I have actually really enjoyed this series. They're very much like emotional, kind of more angsty romances, which I really do appreciate. And I have read handfuls of her series, but this one I have been really, really enjoying. I think the cover for this, the people cover, is stunning. It's giving all that angst and drama. This whole series has been following this kind of friend group who were all a part of a car crash, a deadly car crash, where some of their friends, their loved ones in that crash had passed away. And so now it is usually years later, and we're kind of catching up with the survivors of that and just seeing the ways that that affected their life going forward. So there's a lot of feelings and emotions involved in it. So this one is a second chance, hate to love, returning back home, single dad romance. So I am very excited for that. Small town, I don't know too much. Like I said, angsty emotional just because of that whole setup for it. So I'm excited for this one on March 14th. Then on March 18th, we have Hidden Roots by Cleo Evans. So this is the third book in her Citrus Cove series. And this series, the first book, I loved it so much, which was Broken Beginnings. Book 2, I didn't love it quite as much. And so book 3, I'm still excited to get to it, hoping I enjoy it more with the tropes in this one. So this is Opposites Attract, Fake Fiance, Hurt Comfort, Hate to Love, Big Secrets, Small Town. I think usually they have like a romantic suspense element, or the series has so far. They're very, very spicy. So I am looking forward to this one, kind of like anxiously looking forward to it. So this one is on March 18th. Also on March 18th is Beautiful Exile by Catherine Cowles. Very excited for this one. This is book 4 now in her Sparrow Falls series. Love this series, 2 pieces, and I'm so excited for this one. If you want like small town romantic suspense, Catherine is definitely the author for you. So this one is Billionaire, Who Hurt You, Heroine in Hiding, and I'm very excited for it. I don't know too much else, but I know I'm gonna love it. And then on March 20th, we have My Silver Lining by Laura Pavlov. So this is book 2, I think, in her Rosewood River series, which is her newest small town series. So this one, of course, is a small town romance, fake dating, enemies to lovers, and I am excited to get to it. Don't know too much else. I just really enjoy Laura's small town romances, so I'm very excited for this new one from her. All right, and then we got a surprise, recently announced release from Marley Valentine. So this is With You. So this one is a novella, and it's a follow-up to Without You from this author, which is one of my favorites from her. So I'm very excited for this one. So yeah, it says read this one. This is a novella that will be best enjoyed after reading Without You, which was an romance, very like emotional, heartwarming, those kind of vibes in her contemporary romances. So I'm very excited for this one. And like a novella, I love getting a novella release that I can just fit in anytime during the month to read. So that one's out on March 20th. Then on March 31st, my last one for March that we're going to talk about is Bounded Blood by Sadie Kincaid. So this is the third book in her Broken Bloodlines series, and I'm very excited for this one because I have recently just binged the first 2 books in the series this past week. So I'm really looking forward to this third book. And so this is a Why Choose paranormal vampires, kind of like a fantasy type setting. So we're following all the same characters throughout the 3 books so far. And so I am very excited. The first 2 books are on Hoopla, like through your library. So check if you can get the audiobook there. I did the audios, really enjoyed them, and so I'm very excited to continue on in the story and get to book 3 on March 31st. All right, so now we're going to jump into April. And so on April 1st, we have Hunger in His Blood by Zoey Draven. So this one was recently announced and the cover was released. Very excited for this one. I think this is the 3rd one in her Brides of Kylor series. So I've read the first 2 in the series. Hopefully this is book 3, because if so, this is the series that I have read from this author. Very excited. She does like kind of sci-fi alien-esque type of romances. So I'm excited for that one on April 1st. Also on April 1st is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I love this author's writing. I have read all of her books, so I'm very excited for this one. This is out on April 1st. I have an arc of this one, so it's sitting on my Kindle waiting for me to get to it, but I'm going to wait until a little bit closer to the release date, and I cannot wait for this one. Honestly, I know nothing about it, besides the fact that it's probably emotional, contemporary romance. I really love the way that Abby Jimenez writes. This one I'm just going to look up the tropes. So it says a forced proximity, long-distance relationship, cinnamon roll hero, complicated family dynamics. I just love the way that Abby writes her heroes especially, and so I'm excited for this one. She always delivers on like those emotional contemporary romances that I love. And then on April 3rd, we have a new one from Kat Singleton. So this is In Good Company. This is going to be the first book in her Pembroke Hills series. This one is Ex's brother, billionaire romance, and the heroine is the hero's private chef. So I'm loving all these like private chef romances that we are getting. So I cannot wait. That one is out on April 3rd. Then on April 8th, we have Firebird by Juliet Cross. So this one I'm kind of anticipating, also a little wary of it because her recent fantasy romance release last year, The Wraith King, I didn't super love that one. So I'm kind of going into this one anxiously excited, I guess you could say. But this one's out on April 8th. Firebird. I love these sprayed edges that they have on the cover for this one. I will show it here if I can find a photo of it. It looks so pretty, so stunning. I don't know too much about it. I'm assuming a fantasy romance setting. So I'm excited. I'm still gonna check it out. Then also on April 8th, we have Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. So this is a follow-up to Phantasma, which I had a fun time with that one. I went into that book a little wary, but I actually enjoyed it, read it at the beginning of this year, and I had a fun time with it, especially on audio. So I'll probably do the audio for this book as well. Just like a fun, kind of like fantasy, paranormal-y type of situation setting. And we're following the sister of the heroine of book 1. And so we already saw a glimpse of her character in that book. So I'm excited to see what her story is and how it's going to play out on April 8th. I have a couple more for April 8th. So the first one is Happy Land by Dolene Perkins Valdez. So this one I had read Take My Hand by this author at the end of last year. I loved it so much, a historical fiction. And so I'm very excited to pick up any more books from this author because I loved and was obsessed with the way that she wrote and told a story. So I cannot wait to get to this one. The cover is stunning. So this one, I think it takes place in North Carolina, and one of the characters, or the main character we follow, has been summoned to North Carolina by her estranged grandmother, but instead of revealing answers about their recent past, her grandmother ends up telling her a shocking story about her great-great-great-grandmother and the very land that they stand on. So it says that Nikki learns about the kingdom of the Happy Land. She comes to realize how much of her identity is rooted in this family land and how much they stand to lose if it, like so much else, is taken from them. It's time to reclaim what's theirs. It says, inspired by memories of African kingdoms, a community of formerly enslaved men and women grasped freedom on mountain land they owned, but freedom doesn't always last forever, ... So I am very excited. Like I said, this author, the way that she writes just instantly pulls you into the story, and I cannot wait. Stunning cover. It sounds amazing. I can't wait to check it out on April 8th. And then the last one for April 8th is My Dark Fairy Tale by Gianna Darling. This is the first book in a new mafia romance series from her. So I don't know too much. I just know it's dark, it's mafia. I'm very excited. I love a good mafia romance. And I have read a majority of Gianna's writing. Her MC romances are definitely my favorite. And so I'm excited to see what she does with a mafia romance. All right, and then the next one is on April 15th. And this is a historical fiction. So this is The Eights by Joanna Miller. This one, let me see. I believe this is one with women who go to Oxford. Let me see. So yes, it says following the unlikely friendship of 4 of the first ever women to go to Oxford University in the aftermath of the First World War, a captivating debut novel about sisterhood, self-determination, and the many forms courage can take. Oxford in 1820. For the first time in its 1,000-year history, the world's most famous university has admitted female students. Goes from there, and I'm very excited to read this one on April 15th. All right, and then another historical fiction, we have Zeal by Morgan Jerkins coming out on April 22nd. This is a historical fiction. It says an epic, multi-generational novel that illuminates the legacy of slavery and the power of romantic love. So it is dual timeline, Harlem 2019, as well as following a man in the Union Army as a free man after the war's end in 1865. And so I think it is a dual POV type of story. It says Zeal is both a story of how one generation's choice reverberate through the years and an incredible portrait of an enduring love. This one sounds really good. I love a multi-generational story, which just with that and the orange cover, it's kind of giving me vibes of Homegoing that I read last year and absolutely loved. So I'm excited to see what this author does with this book. I know it's not their first release, and so I'm excited to see what it has in store for us. Then on April 23rd, this is like one of my highly anticipated for the year. This is Crescent Kingdom by Tessa Hale. This is the first book in a new series from this author. This author writes Why Choose, kind of like paranormal fantasy type settings. I love that the way this author writes her heroes because all of the heroes feel so unique and different, which I need and love and appreciate in Why Choose romances. So I am so excited for this one. This is the first book in her Wolves of Crescent Creek series. We saw a little glimpse of one of the characters in this series in her previous series, The Dragons of Ember Hollow. And ever since that character came out of the scene in that book, I was dying and hoping that we were going to get some wolf shifters, and we definitely are. So excited. So this says Why Choose, Hidden Identity, Wolf Shifters, Hate to Love, Heroine in Hiding, Alpha Heroes, Toucher and Die vibes, Fated Mates, a Hacker, Mercenaries, Cat Daddy, all of the things that I can't wait for. So cannot wait. April 23rd, and I'm dying for this book. All right, and then on April 24th, we have Sawyer by Jessica Peterson. So I loved the first book in this series. This is, I believe, the Lucky River Ranch series. So the first book was Cash, loved that one. The second book was Wyatt, and I thought it was okay. So I'm excited, though, for this third book because I think it was just kind of the tropes of book 2. So this is like small town, Western kind of cowboy vibes. This one in particular is a single dad romance, which you know is one of my catnip tropes. And so I am very excited for this one. So it says that this single daddy is tender, funny, and very, very excited about the fact that the one night stand who rocked his world months ago shows up in his hometown. That's all I need to know. I cannot wait. The colors for the cover is stunning, and I can't wait. And then the last one for April is on April 29th. This is King of Envy by Anna Wong. I believe this is book 5 in her Kings of Sin series. Very, very excited. I know nothing about the tropes or the blurb for this one. I didn't even bother reading it. I just know that I'm going to read this book when it's out and enjoy it and love it. I've loved this series. Love the green on the cover, so I can't wait to get to this one at the end of April. All right, so now we are jumping into May. So on May 2nd, we have Revive Me by Nikki Castle. I love Nikki Castle's romances. She usually writes like fighter, MMA type of romances. So I'm very excited for a new one from her. So it says that this is an emotional, slow burn contemporary romance standalone coming on May 2nd. So she hasn't revealed too much else, but from the glimpses that she's shown on Instagram, it looks like there is MMA involved. It looks like somebody's possibly, the hero is healing after an injury. It shows that the heroine is possibly like a doctor or a nurse. I'm very excited for this one on May 2nd. Then we have Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage on May 6th. This one, are we surprised? I know nothing about this either. I think this is book 4 possibly in her Rebel Blue Ranch series. I think that's the name of the series. Small town, cowboy western vibes. I feel like they are usually emotional as well, which I really connect with the emotional elements she puts into her cowboy romances. So I'm excited for this one. I know nothing, and I'm just gonna jump in that way. Also on May 6th is Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. So I am excited to check out this one. I have read all of Devney Perry's contemporary romances, and this one is going to be a new fantasy romantasy book from her. So I'm excited to see what she's gonna do with this. I'm also always kind of a little bit wary when authors who don't usually right romantasy jump into it, but I know that Devaney herself like reads a ton of fantasy romances, so I'm excited to see what she's going to do with this one on May 6th. The cover, the sprayed edges, all of the art for this one has already looked gorgeous, so hopefully the book is just as gorgeous. And then on May 13th, we have a new one from Ashley Herring Blake. So this is Dream On Ramona Riley. I have read, I think, all of this author's books and really enjoy them. This one says a small town waitress and a Hollywood star's world collide in this new romance by the author. This is a sapphic romance, small town. It's very much giving those like cozy, quaint cafe vibes. So I am here for it from the cover alone. It's so cute. So that one's out on May 13th. Another one of my highly anticipated ones is on May 13th as well. This is Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. This is book 3 in her Skyline series, and I have loved this series so much. Book 1 was Before I Let Go, one of my favorites from Kennedy. I love her books so much. They're always so emotional. I think I've read all of her books except for her like very first series, and so I am excited to get to this one. I have an arc of it. It's on my Kindle. I need to get to it, but again, probably closer to the release date. This one we've been following this friend group of these really strong, independent women, and so I'm very excited to see. I think this is Hendrix's story, and I'm very excited to see this heroine's story because like I said, we've already gotten glimpses of her throughout the series. So yes, this one is out on May 13th. Then on May 20th, we have Rewind It Back by Liz Tomforty. This is the 5th book in her Windy City series. I am obsessed with the red for this cover. I have enjoyed the whole series overall. This is a sports series, and I know that we're following Rio, the hero for this one, which we have seen him featured throughout the series, and I know everybody has been highly anticipating, along with myself, his book, so I'm very excited. I believe it's Second Chance. I don't need to know too much else about it. I'm very excited. All right, and then the last one that I have is on May 27th. So this is from Laura Pavlov, and this is You, Me, and Forever. This one I'm very excited for because it takes place in Alaska, which if you didn't know, that is where I live. And so any books that take place in Alaska, I always have a certain kind of feeling about that just because of the representation of it and just because of the kind of like glamorized, fictionalized, Hallmark type of version of Alaska that people usually try to put in books. So I feel a certain way about it, but also I trust Laura Pavlov, so I'm excited to see what she does with this one. This is I believe it's a duet, and it is a separate like standalone duet that she's doing with Montlake. So I believe these ones will be on KU with the read and listen feature because that's usually what Montlake books do. So I'm excited for this one. It says that it is a spicy enemies to lovers romance about a billionaire developer and a small town entrepreneur battling their desires in the land of the midnight sun, aka Alaska. So it says that the heroine ends up sleeping with the hero at the beginning of the story during a one-night stand, and she was just trying to blow off steam because her ex had just gotten engaged. But now she finds out that her booming wedding planning business was about to lose its favorite venue to some bulldozer-happy developer from New York, who of course is going to be the hero. So the heroine owns like a wedding planning business in Alaska in a fictionalized town, of course, and so I'm excited to see where it goes. It says sleeping with the enemy doesn't feel nearly as wrong as it should. So I'm excited to read that one at the end of May and see what it's all about. All right, so those are all the books that I have for you today. Like I said, this was just kind of the highlights, the most anticipated books I'm looking forward to for spring releases. So for March, April, and May, definitely let me know in the comments if any of these are on your TBR as well. If you have any other spring releases you're looking forward to, definitely drop them in the comments and let me know. Like I said, this was just a glimpse. I'll have even more new releases for every month that when we get to those months, you'll see them in my new releases videos for those months. And if you'd rather leave me an emoji in the comments today to let me know that you watched this video, leave me some mountains. My sweatshirt has mountains on it today. That last book I just read for Laura Pavlov, set in Alaska, let's do mountains. So if you haven't done so yet, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!